Morning. Thank you for visiting Compressed Dreams channel. We're going to do something a little bit different on this channel today. We are actually going to do a VMAC VR150 install on a 2019 F550 diesel truck. For those of you that follow that company and know that they're specialized in pretty much anything compressed air on the mobile application, the Underhood is where they really got their name in the beginning. So the Ford diesel is one of the harder ones to install just because of the time that it takes to do it. But I'm going to walk you through step by step how to do it. Again, it's the 2019, 2020s are a little bit different, but they're all pretty much the same when it comes to actually how to install the air compressor. So stay tuned, watch it, let me know what you think. One thing I did forget to mention is that this will be a multiple part series on YouTube. We're doing multiple videos to cover the install due to the fact that the install length is anywhere between 20 and 30 hours on average. So they'll split up probably 5 to 7 videos. Alright, so now everything's unpacked, as you can see. See if I can get you a little closer here. You can see the pallet on the back has still got the air compressor and stuff in it. There was no point in taking it out of the box. You don't really want to get dirt or anything on it. So we have to make all this, right? Oh, sorry. Fit under the hood of here. Go ahead and say Ford doesn't leave a lot of room to work. And how we're going to do that? Using this. As I stated, they do a very good job with their install manual. It is going to be laid out step by step, as I'm going to show you here in a second. There are parts we're going to skip over. So keep that in mind, that I'm not going to be doing certain things that you might see on page 1 through 5 of the manual, because we've already done these, or I've already done enough of them to know. But follow the manual step by step, check it off, and I guarantee when you get done, you'll have a compressor that works and operates. So stay tuned. Alright, as you start going through the manual, you're going to see that there is actually a torque chart in here. So based on your size of bolts, it will give you a torque rating. However, there's not that many things in here that have torque ratings on them. But the crank bolt and things like that are very specific. They're not going to be in here. They will actually be in the instructions, so keep an eye out for that. Special tools required. Everything lists as special tools. So when you order one of these, it does not come with these tools, but usually they can tell you need it. This is basic stuff. You want to have your fan removal tool, and then you want to have your pulley removal tool as well, which again, I can show you every bit of that. All of it's here. This is something I want everybody to pay attention to. 242, okay, Loctite on all engine mounted fasteners. There's no reason not to use this stuff. It's cheap insurance. You're going to hear me say this 1,000 times. So read through it. As you can tell, there's check boxes on all of this. Okay, open up the illustrated parts list, which is another book. Go over all the parts you've seen on the pallet. Make sure they're there. Complete the warranty form when you're completed. This is a must. If you want to maintain your lifetime warranty on the air end, you must complete the warranty form, and you must service it every 6 months. So here's kind of where it starts. It says mark and drill your holes to mount the ID plate. This is the last step for me. This is something I do after it's running and up and going, and I'm just waiting on the engine to warm up and things like that. So I hold off on all that, as well as half these other ones. So when you get to the beginning, it's going to say preparing. Sorry, I got to get a better FU. It's preparing for installation. Read this completely. I encourage you to read it the day before you start. Again, I'm not doing any of this until I get down to disconnect and remove both batteries, because all this above there has already been confirmed and done before. So I'm going to start at the batteries, and we're going to work our way down, and every time we finish something, we'll check it off until we get to the bottom. If you're following the manual, first step is to remove the batteries. You will need a 10mm socket, okay? I'm using a deep well here. And you will need an extension to get it off. So you're not just going to unhook the cables. You're going to take the whole battery out and go put them on your pallet. It's the easiest thing I found to do. batteries out there. Alright, a little secret here, you will not be reusing these or the bracket. However, I always suggest holding on to them. You never know when you're going to need a good battery hold down bracket. And I take these off and I'll show you why at a later stage. Alright, not being reused, put them somewhere, put the bolts in a bucket, and we'll go do the other battery now. You have an 18 millimeter here, there's 4 of them on each side, and then you got 2 15 millimeters in here, and we'll get those taken out. Me personally, I'll start with the outside one first. Take these out. Same thing on the other side, and then take the front bumpers off. Next, we'll move on to the front ones. Again, this is 18 millimeter. Try to take them off the best you can together, because there is a bracket that can swing around on the back, and you don't really want that. Once that bracket falls out, make sure you pick all those up. Once again, that's why you take it. Same thing on the other side, and bumper comes off. Be careful, make sure there's no strobe lights and stuff hooked up to it. So that comes off. Very simple. The next step is to remove the top radiator cover, and what it means is this piece right here. So you got all these push pins. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, looks like 13, 14, at least 14 of those push pins in there. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I have all the push pins out. Every way you can. Well, that's all. I set it in the wall behind me because the truck barely fits in the garage anyway. To remove the grill, I said you got 8 bolts. Back to your trusty 10 millimeter. Alright, once you got that off, just kind of pull on it a little bit. You don't want to get carried away and break it. Next time on the list is to remove the headlight. Again, it's a 10 millimeter. It's only 4 bolts. You got the one top, and you got 2 here. See the one there, one in there, and then you got one over here. If you can see it right there. You got to remove all 4 of those. It'll pull straight out. Then you can unplug it. get it out, doesn't matter unplugging all the harnesses. Some of them are easier to do than the other ones are. Sometimes once they get a little dirt in them, they ain't coming unhooked. There's actually a drain right here on the radiator, but I'm going to show you the way I do it. I take this drain loose first, go ahead and get it started. Set up, I'm going to get it started. You take the radiator cap off. Alright, that's the first one. There's also a secondary coolant reservoir on this one. And what I found is the easiest thing to do is come in here and pull this little pin down. Alright, now I'm not keeping this. I'm replacing both of these fluids. Don't have to, as long as you use a clean bucket, but I've never been one to do it that way. Again, pop the secondary cap off. You can put this back on so it all directs one way, but you're going to make a mess. You're going to tangle it. It will not drain for very long, as you can tell. The radiator will drain for a very long time, though. Once that one's drained on the way, technically you could put it right back on again. But let it drain, put you some pig mat or whatever you have down. Get clean for that. Alright, the next step is to kind of take apart the intake, or the air box. Real simple, loosen the band clamp up. And you can use 7 or 8 millimeter, 5/16, whatever it is. Pop it loose. The air filter out. You'll need a, I think it's an 8 millimeter and a long extension to get down in here. We'll check that. Make sure you cover the engine's inlet where the intake goes. Anytime you open up a part on the engine, you want to cover it with a rag and some tape, and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, to cover the intake, take a clean rag. Okay, I put it in there. And again, this is the way I do it. You don't have to do it this way. Everybody's got their own way to cover an engine. I take masking tape. By having both on there, when you go to pull that tape off, it'll pull the rag out with it. And it will stay clean. Now you do that because you're going to be working around here, you're going to be grinding on some plastic and stuff, and you really don't want that in the engine. Plus any other work going on in the garage, you don't want dust and contaminants getting in there, causing issues. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and pull the air box out. It is an 8 millimeter. You do have to put it on a longer extension to get down in here. Moving the ground strap, 8mm. Move it. I do stick the bolt back in here for the time being, although it will be connected later. This is really so you can get this up and out of the way. Now we're going to remove the battery box on the passenger side. 4 bolts. You get this box loose. Now, sometimes there's still things connected to the bottom of it. I got my pliers on it. Now set this aside for later because you will be modifying this box before it goes back in. Next step is removing the secondary reservoir. See if I can get the camera in here at an angle you can see it. We got to remove this clamp, the big clamp, that clamp, and then the 2 10mm bolts on top. And they are 10mm, and then this whole piece will come out. Or instead of unhooking that clamp right there, you can actually just unhook it off the water pump. Let me see if I can get in here where you can see that. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta walk up here and actually get in here. Alright. See right here? Let me zoom in for you. One of those quick release clamps, just pull the pin, pull it off the water pump, and you're good to go. You don't have to take the bottom hose off. You still gotta take the little one off, but you don't have to take any other ones off. Our next step is to remove the hot side of the charge air cooler hose, which is this pipe here, okay? And you got a band clamp there, or you got a quick disconnect on the OEM. Most people like to pull the quick disconnect off. Believe it or not, I pull the band clamp off. I leave that thing down in there because it's easier for me to cover it up right here. Like that one, and then this side also has got to come off. You can leave it on here if you want. And take it off right here, whatever works best for you. As stated, you can use, I think it's a 7mm, it might be an 8. Or just put a flathead screwdriver in it, whichever you prefer. The clamp's not overly tight, it's actually got a metal band inside of it, it helps it hold. I like to loosen this one up. Just kind of break it loose, you don't have to get anything. And then you can twist this side. Get it where you can actually put the screwdriver on it. If you don't, it's kind of a pain to get in there. This one is a little bit easier to use a socket on there than a screwdriver. Save me from having to go back to the toolbox again. Stated, just break the seal, don't stab through the boot, break the seal, it'll come out. After pipe is out, cover the hole just like you did the other one, and you hold on to that pipe because you will need it again. Next step is to remove the upper radiator hose. It has these clips on both ends. Simplest way to do it is get something up underneath it, pull it. You don't have to take it all the way off, but you can. It doesn't hurt it if you do. Wiggle it a little bit. Sometimes it pops right off there. There it goes. Okay. Then just push this back down. Now when you go to push it back on again, it'll just clip right on, no problem. Do the other side, and the intake, the uprator hose is done. Next, we're going to be removing the rest of the charge air cooler components, including this hose, this sensor. We're going to do it all kind of one time. You can take it out with a hose on it, which is normally how I do it, and then I take the hose off at a later time. So you're going to pull all your clamps loose. Pull that one back. Let's go ahead and knock this off while it's here, because that's coming out next. Just fold it out of the way. Get it right now. Make sure you're taking your sensors off. You don't want to get caught to the point that you break one of those off. Get it out of the way. This is another one of those factory quick connect fittings. Again, you do as you see fit, however you want to take them off. Me, I usually use a pick, but I've got a screwdriver in my hand, so I'm going to use a screwdriver this time. This one I usually pull off and I put it back on once I get the tube off of it. It always seems to fall off. I do really like these things when it comes to installing, because it's just a matter of pushing it on there. There's nothing else to it. Next, we're going to be removing the factory coolant bottle and this battery tray. There's 4 13 millimeter. And then you got the one hose here with the factory quick connect that can be removed. Just like all these other connections like this, pull the ring up. Comes right on off. Remove the 4 bolts. We'll take the factory bottle out. This bottle will not be reused, so you can either give it back to the owner, keep it, put it in storage, sell it on eBay, whatever you need to do. Next step, we're going to be removing the washer bottle and the bracket that's attached to it. It will not be reused, but to get it off, you have 1 bolt here, and that can be either flat or I think a T30, I can't remember now. Then you have the 2 here, 2 white ones. And the one that's a little bit tricky to get to is the one way back in there. Let me see if I can get a light on it where you can actually see it down in there. Alright, if you want to avoid taking the inner fender out, this is kind of how it has to happen. See the ratchet, then you see the swivel on the end of it. Okay. By doing it this way though, I don't have to take the inner fender out, which in my mind saves a step and it makes my life a little bit easier. It probably only saves about 5 minutes of time, but at the end of the week, 5 minutes adds up, if you ask me. Alright, next step, after everything's removed here, see the big empty hole, there's actually a bolt we're going to go ahead and put in with the ground strap. Because we're relocating both batteries, we got to relocate the grounds too. It's a little hard to see, but if you look right above this hose, there is a hole right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to sand that off a little bit. I use either fine grit sandpaper, Scotch-Brite, something like that, just enough to get the rust off of it. And we're going to use, the manual tells you which one it is, but it's a 17mm bolt. Okay, and that's what we're going to put in there. A lot harder to show on camera. One thing you're going to do is knock off enough of the rust to get the ground good. You won't get it all off. The last thing you want is an electrical problem somebody has to chase down later. These particular trucks go all over the country, so they may never be in the same place again. After that, you take your bolts, stick it through the large end of the cable, and the large end, stick it pulled in. Make sure you have Loctite on it. You can see all this in the manual. Run the battery cable down, across, top of the cross member. It's going to go down to the floor for now. Not going to be down there forever. But for the next couple of days, it's pretty much going to sit there. Put your bolt in. I said this was a 7 pin, but it's actually a 6 pin. Our next steps is to remove the power steering reservoir, which can be found here, and you're just going to take the one bolt out of it, pull it up, and just let it lay over out of the way. You got to keep it standing up or it will leak. Then you're going to move on to the upper radiator shroud. Okay, there's one bolt here, there's one here, one over there. Need one across the top. Got one here. And I think there's just one on more this side. There is. Just one more on this side. As most of the bolts on here, it is a 10mm. Put up. Take it off. That's simple. The upper fan shroud will be modified, so don't worry too much because this whole mount's going to be cut out later. Take you a long extension is kind of the easiest way I found to do it. Get down in here. You will have to pull the little Christmas tree out here. Won't matter. You'll also need to unhook this eventually, but again, that matters right now. Just make sure you have all the electrical connections unhooked from it. A lot of these will not be remounted in the same spot, so don't worry if you damaged it. We'll curve it through a little bit. Not really going to matter. Just push this out of the way. Try to hold the camera and do this at the same time. The easy way to set it in here. Unhook that. Remove this bolt here, okay, and then you're going to actually take that bolt out altogether. Ooh, let me set it down and get it broke loose here. Careful not to damage the radiator when you're pulling tools in and out of here. Move that bolt all together. Chunk it to the side. Two things I want you to look at. This is my serpentine belt tool. I have had this thing for a lot of years, but I know they still make it. At least they did. Works excellent, easy to change the end ratcheting, just one of the best ones I've used in years. This is the pulley holder, okay? See those little pegs there? Those go inside the holes on the water pump pulley and hold it in place, and those cutouts will go over the bolts of certain ones of them. So it's a pretty universal tool. you can take those things out, but I put them in there, and I'm going to try to video taking it out. Alright, no way for me to hold the camera and do this. As you can see, I've got the tool hooked up here and the wrench here. I use an 1 7/8 wrench because it fits close enough. Once you get the tool in there, turn them in opposite directions. It should come off there now. Once it's loose, grab the fan and just spin it off. Next step is removing the fan stator. This plastic piece here is what they refer to as the fan stator. I'm sorry, the light in here is absolutely terrible this time of day. If that helps anything. Not really, it makes it worse. Got one here at the bottom on this side, and another one up here. Whoop, where it's here. And these are a 15 millimeter. We'll switch it up a little bit this time. Take the 4 bolts out, pull the little wire clips off of it, and you have to rotate it around to get it out. It doesn't pull straight up. So you kind of just got to rotate it out of there. Alright, got to pull this thing off. Again, only Christmas tree things. Push that out of the way. Lay this back. Get off the bottom end. I do it. I rotate it out. Now, it's a little bit easier if you don't take the belt off first, but I decided to jump a few steps ahead this time. You can't see it. The only place it really gets stuck is the air conditioning compressor. It comes off of there. She goes. This is also another piece that'll have to be modified. Remove the alternator neck. Take the cable off. Since you have no batteries hooked up, don't really worry about terminating on anything. It'll be fine. There is a connector you pull off in the back, and sometimes be a pain in the butt. I tend to do it afterwards. That was 13 millimeter. You got a 15 and a 15 here. Bolts out. You will be reusing these shortly, so don't put them too far away from you. I think I have a pry bar over here. Alright. Well, just got to remove the connector. It's going to come off. Alright, we're going to remove the power steering pump. We're not going to take the lines off of it. We're just kind of going to move it to the side. But there's 3 bolts that hold it on. 1 here and 2 on the bottom. Sometimes you can reach these with this ratchet. Sometimes you can't. It's just a matter of the way they got the tube bent. And believe it or not, it is a little bit different each time. It is 10 millimeter. I don't know if I said that or not.
really no way to look at it. You just kind of got to feel your way around in there. Feel like you're on it. Final step of the day is we're going to remove the main alternator and power steering pump bracket here. I could not get the camera to hold the way I wanted to. I was just going to show you. Remove this one, and if you look down here at the bottom, if I get the phone in here, you got two more to take out. That's all there is to remove it. Now, you are going to have to reuse this stud in the other bracket, so you can take it out when you get it on the workbench, or you can take it out now. Me personally, I prefer to do it on the workbench. Every one of these I think are 14s, but they might be, no, I think they're 13s actually. Yep. All four of those are 13 millimeter. Again, you can take this off now, you can take it off later. I need to grab an extension, I thought I had one here. Main bracket's loose, and as we've had into all day long, it's Christmas trees again. I'll show you a little secret to these things. Something you must look out for. These bolts, they all have this little spacer on them. It slides up. That's what helps align it, the machine surface, or excuse me. So it helps align the hole in the bracket so the machine surfaces match up. You must make sure those are on there. If not, you can throw everything off and cause bolts to break and things not to line up, etc. So hold on to all four of those bolts. They're going to go in the VMAC bracket. It's the end of the first section here, and you can see we marked everything we did. Okay, it did show us where to put that battery cable in. There is pictures in all this. You can see here's the parts we took out today. Now, this usually doesn't take near as long when you're not filming and things like that. It only takes a few hours, but cutting the camera on and off, moving things around, it does take quite a bit longer. As you can tell, keep all this stuff organized, safe. I always put the intercoolers somewhere, not intercoolers, charger coolers somewhere else, because if they fall or something, they get broken. Here's some of the examples of the picture layouts that we showed you in the video. Everything that's been checked off has been completed so far. Okay. Still got a lot to put in there though, but it's okay. The next video we're going to start putting pieces together and putting them on there. And we also finish this page. Okay. Shows you the bushings where they're located. And I did not show taking that hose off, but it's just one clamp, but everything's already been unhooked. So to give you an idea on the truck now. You can actually see the engine. So quite a bit of work to get down to where you need to be, but that's okay. As it starts to go back together, it'll make more sense. And if you're doing these on your own and you have questions in each section, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to the VMAC tech support team. They're great. They know how to put these things in. Really don't have a lot of issues, but if you can't figure it out, there's always somebody to get a hold of. So thanks for watching the first episode. Stay tuned as we start to put the coolers and hoses and modify the Degas bottles and everything like that, starting for the next one.